You should have stayed dead!
The future of the Transformers movies has become one of the most interesting topics in blockbuster filmmaking right now because the series seems to be standing at a major turning point. For years, fans believed the next big step for the franchise would finally be the long-teased crossover between Transformers and G.I. Joe, especially after the ending of Transformers Rise of the Beasts. But now, director Stephen Caple Jr. has surprised fans by revealing that the next Transformers movie is apparently not the crossover film many people expected. That update caught a bunch of fans off guard, because Rise of the Beasts ended in a way that clearly teased a shared universe between the two franchises. The movie closed with Anthony Ramos' character discovering connections to G.I. Joe, and audiences instantly started imagining Autobots fighting alongside the Joes in a massive action movie. It felt like Paramount was preparing its own giant crossover event similar to what superhero universes have done over the last decade. But according to Caple Jr., the crossover project is still developing in the background instead of moving forward immediately as Transformers 8. While speaking during promotion for his Netflix project Man on Fire, the director explained that he still has huge ideas for the crossover movie, although he is not currently attached to the next Transformers film being made. That makes the future of the franchise feel even more unpredictable because there are now multiple Transformers projects reportedly in development at the same time. Paramount seems to be exploring several creative directions instead of locking itself into one specific plan. Although some fans may feel disappointed the G.I. Joe crossover is not happening immediately, it could actually help the franchise long-term because it gives the studio more time to carefully build toward that event instead of rushing it too quickly. Stephen Caple Jr. clearly still sounds passionate about the crossover idea too. He mentioned that the movie remains in development and that there is still time for things to happen, so it definitely does not sound cancelled. Instead, it feels more like Paramount is keeping the project ready for the right moment. And that approach makes sense because crossover films work best when both franchises involved feel strong and stable on their own first. The Transformers movies have gone through a bunch of changes over the years already. Back in 2007, Michael Bay launched the live-action series with the first Transformers movie, and it became a gigantic success almost immediately. The film earned over $700 million worldwide and turned Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and the Autobots into massive blockbuster icons for an entire generation. Bay's style became a huge part of the franchise identity because the movies focused on explosive action, giant robot battles, military spectacle, and fast-paced destruction. Although critics often had mixed reactions to those films, audiences kept showing up because the scale felt enormous. Movies like Transformers Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction even crossed the billion-dollar mark globally, which proved just how powerful the brand had become. But after Transformers The Last Knight, Paramount realized the franchise needed a fresh direction. That is where Bumblebee came in. Instead of focusing purely on giant-scale destruction, Bumblebee told a smaller and more emotional story centered around friendship and identity. Critics loved the movie because it had more heart and character development compared to earlier entries. Even today, it remains the highest-rated Transformers movie among critics on Rotten Tomatoes. That softer reboot approach continued with Rise of the Beasts, which introduced the Maximals and expanded the mythology beyond just Autobots versus Decepticons. Even though critic reactions were mixed, audiences had a lot of fun with the film because it captured classic Transformers energy while still trying new ideas. The movie especially earned praise for finally making Optimus Prime feel more heroic and emotional again. Still, box office performance has become a complicated issue for the franchise. Bumblebee earned less money than earlier Bay films, although it was critically successful. Rise of the Beasts also underperformed financially compared to expectations, and the animated movie Transformers 1 received positive reactions but struggled commercially too. Because of that, Paramount now seems focused on rebuilding excitement carefully instead of rushing into giant crossover projects immediately. The studio probably wants the next Transformers movie to prove the franchise can still dominate theaters before jumping into something as ambitious as Transformers meeting G.I. Joe in live action. At the same time, though, it definitely sounds like Paramount still believes in both franchises, because during CinemaCon 2026, the studio confirmed that new Transformers and G.I. Joe films are actively being developed. That announcement feels very important because it shows the company still sees long-term value in these properties even after recent box office challenges. The future possibilities are actually pretty exciting too, because there are multiple creative paths the franchise could follow next. Michael Bay reportedly has a new Transformers idea he wants to direct himself, which immediately got longtime fans talking. Love or hate Bay's movies, his visual style shaped the franchise for nearly a decade, so the idea of him returning automatically creates curiosity. Meanwhile, Josh Cooley, who directed Transformers 1, is also expected to work on a live-action Transformers project. That could be a really smart move, because Transformers 1 showed a deeper emotional side of Optimus Prime and Megatron's relationship before they became enemies. Fans appreciated that storytelling focus, so bringing Cooley into live action could give the series a fresh balance between action and character development. There is also still the planned Rise of the Beasts trilogy sitting in the background. Even though it may not be Paramount's immediate priority right now, the studio has not canceled those plans. That matters because it means Cable Jr.'s vision still has a future pathway. And the G.I. Joe crossover itself feels more possible now than it did a few years ago, because both franchises are trying to reinvent themselves at the same time. The G.I. Joe movies have had a much rougher journey compared to Transformers, although there is still potential there. G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra and G.I. Joe: Retaliation made decent money globally, but the franchise never reached the same level of consistency as Transformers. Then came Snake Eyes, which unfortunately struggled badly at the box office, despite trying to reboot the franchise with a more grounded style. Because of that, Paramount now seems interested in completely reshaping G.I. Joe moving forward. That is why the crossover tease at the end of Rise of the Beasts felt so exciting in the first place. It created the idea that both franchises could help strengthen each other, instead of Transformers and G.I. Joe operating separately. And that wraps up today's video. If you want to stay in the loop with all the latest movie and series news, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a big thumbs up, because I'll be bringing you more updates on upcoming movies before they even drop. So keep an eye out for that, along with the latest on your other favorite shows and movies. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.